So I'm Jenn Reid. I'm the PBL coach at the Dayton Regional STEM School, and with us today I have Brittany Shores. Brittany, can you introduce yourself and what class you're teaching?
Hi, I'm Brittany Shores. I am a ninth grade math teacher at the Dayton Regional STEM School. I'm currently teaching algebra to my ninth graders.
So do you just want to tell me a little bit about the project, exercise, what have you, that you did with your students?
So right before we had went into this whole quarantine, we had been reviewing solving systems of equations, linear equations. Over spring break was thinking about like a meaningful way to assess it. I didn't think that just giving them a regular test like I would in a classroom would be a good way for them to show mastery. And so I figured I would have them teach me how to solve the problems. I did a live Zoom with the students where I walked them through the rubric and the explanation and everything. I decided that they were going to choose 4 problems to teach to me. And so what I did was I gave them this document that just has a whole bunch of problems, and it's split up by type. So the ones above were graphing and then substitution. So they could choose any of these that they wanted to do. And then for their presentation, I told them they had to pretend like they were the teacher and they were explaining it to someone who'd never learned before, which in this case would be me. So I gave them a couple options. The first option was to create a screencast video. I think probably about 70% of the students chose to do that. We have a lot of tech savvy students, so a lot of them use like Screencast-O-Matic and just downloaded that video and then uploaded it to me. And then the other option was if they weren't a very tech savvy person, but they also wanted to make their own video, and I did have a couple of students do this as well, was to just kind of film themselves with their smartphone doing the problems. Or for the students who maybe struggle with technology or even with the content, I scheduled a Zoom conference with those students and we just did the problems live together. And I kind of tiered that also. Like if a student was really confident with the content, I had them run the whole session. If it was like I have a couple students who are on IEPs who struggle with like multi-step problems. So I already had the problems already laid out on my whiteboard on my screen, and then they just had to talk through the problems. They didn't actually have to write it up themselves, and it was kind of helpful for those students. And then I kind of just provided a calendar just to keep kids on track. The student making the video, I actually gave them an extra day just to account for the technology needs or whatever. And then I had a sign up sheet where they could sign up for different times to meet with me, either to present their video or to ask questions. And that went over really well. And then here's just the rubric. So I laid out like every single step of solving each type of problem. And then they could earn points for following the rubric.
So if we look at a graph, -2 is the B for the first one, which is the y-intercept. So on the graph, we're going to find -2. We're going to place a marker on there. And then m equals slope. So 1/2 will be our slope. So we'll go up 1/2 and we'll do that again. And then after you have that down, you can place a line there so to show that we have our first line for our first equation. Now on to our next one, where our B, our y-intercept is -4 for this one. And our slope is -1/2. So this time we'll find -4 on the line. And we'll do that for a while, and then we'll get rid of the markers and put our line. So now that we have that line, we're going to find the 2 points that were intercepts.
This was, like I said, one of my favorite videos just because she had those nice animations.
Parentheses, so I remember that part, right? So what's my first value?
-4. -3.
You got it. Awesome.
So this is an example of a Zoom that I did with one of my students who is on an IEP and struggles with multi-step. So it was really nice for her just to be able to talk it out with me.
This was perfect, Brittany. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
bye.
Bye.